On this episode, we are going down to the basement where moisture, critters, and insulation play hide and seek. So to get more information about basements and all this stuff, we have my favorite home inspector with us, Hans Coleman, 5281 A Step Above Home Inspections. Thanks for being here.
Hey, my pleasure. I love it.
Yeah. So in these episodes, we're talking about stuff both that buyers want to be aware of as they're checking a house out for potential purchase. And we're also talking with homeowners about things that you can look for in your house and ways to keep your house well maintained to protect your financial investment over time. So, so I guess the first question, Hans, is when you're at an inspection, you get down to the basement, what are you looking at?
First thing and the most prominent thing that stands out at me, of course, is going to be the foundation walls themselves. Hopefully we can see them. Hopefully it's not a finished basement. I mean, if it is, we see what we can see. But hopefully it's not finished. We can actually see every square foot of that foundation wall, what's going on with it, and kind of pick it apart a little bit.
And so if it is finished, then you're just looking for cracks in the drywall at that point, right?
Pretty much, we're looking for nail pops. We're looking for cracks in the drywall. We'll get the thermal camera out just to make sure that there's no moisture residing at the bottom of the walls, that kind of stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, when you have a finished basement, it is a little bit restricted on what we can see.
Yeah, because as an inspector, you can really only inspect the things you can see.
Yeah, it all has to be visual. Yep.
Yeah.
What's behind the walls?
Now, the basement is, water is a big deal down there, right? Like, not just the cracks in the foundation. Well, and I guess we should address the cracks one more time because I know we've talked about this.
You love the cracks.
Other episodes.
You are fixated on the cracks. Let's crack it.
I feel like people are interested in cracks. They're always so worried about cracks.
Of course.
So I'll do it for you. So for the last time today, we don't mind about hairline vertical cracks. We don't mind so much about cracks unless they are thick and horizontal.
Yeah.
And if they're moving. So if you can do something to tell yourself where this crack is from end to end, and then watch it over time, you want to make sure that it's not moving. If it is, then you'll want to call in a structural engineer to take a look at it. But, if you mark it and it just stays as is for the next months or years, then don't worry about it.
And again, that's hairline cracks. We don't care about hairline cracks. Big, thick, deep cracks is a whole nother conversation, whether it's vertical or horizontal. The worst ones are horizontal, but the hairline cracks, yeah, don't.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
So water, that is another big thing with basements. And, not all homes in Colorado have a basement. Some of them are on a slab. Some of them have a crawl space. So what kind of water problems are you on the lookout for as you're looking around?
Well, this would actually go back to the cracking in general itself too, for the hairline cracks. Like, what if you only have a hairline crack, or maybe just a little bit bigger of a hairline crack, but at the bottom of the crack, you can see this big moisture stain in the concrete itself. Like, what if there's a whole bunch of efflorescence, and you can actually see like where water once was. Now that little bitty crack that we were just talking about not being a big deal is a big deal. So it really depends on how the crack presents itself to us. That's why seeing that is so important, to not drywall over everything if you can, and give us something to be able to see.
And you mentioned efflorescence, which I'm sure is going to be a term that most viewers don't know. I just learned it, I think, this morning. So efflorescence is this white powdery stuff that you could see around a crack or it may be around a crack, or it may just be on the wall.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's a white powdery substance that's an indicator that there could be moisture problems.
The efflorescence itself is the calcium that's in the water that comes through the foundation wall. That's why we can see it, and it's a great little indicator because it actually, instead of being something that's hidden, it actually says, here I am, I have an issue, because you have something that you can visually see and tie into a problem, which is huge, especially when we're talking about a home which hides 80% of the problems.
Right, and as we're talking about water stuff, this also goes back to grading because there's different ways that water could get into the home, but I guess I'll say 2 of the best ways to keep water away from the home are the grading, so making sure that it's, what did you say? As it goes out every 4 feet, it should drop another 12 inches?
Drop about 12 inches
12
away.
inches.
It's I think it's between, I think it's 8 to 12 inches. I apologize, I don't know exactly, so don't quote me on it, but something like that, yeah. Every 4 feet, we do want it to drop. We really just want that to go away. I mean, it doesn't have to be like this, where it's like straight up, off a cliff kind of a deal, but a nice gradual grade is perfect.
Yeah, and we're not measuring it most of the time, we're eyeballing it just to make sure that it's going this way and not this way.
Best time to do home inspections is when it's raining.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's
Yeah.
that water puddle at? How's the gutters working? How's the whole thing working? Absolutely.
That's right, because another great way to keep water away from your basement is with the gutters and the downspouts. So, people, if you have a downspout, and it's in your way and you put it up like this, and now you have water coming straight down and dripping right at your foundation. So you're not even letting the downspout do the work of getting the water away from your home. If you either put that extension up or take the extension off altogether, or you don't have gutters where there need to be gutters, and then you've got water dripping right off the roof,
Yep.
and that messes up a lot more than
So-
water to the foundation. I mean, that messes up drip edges and stuff around the roof.
Huge problem, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've covered that sufficiently. We don't want water in the basement.
We're done with cracks.
We're not going to talk about cracks anymore. All right, let's talk about insulation and vapor barriers. Because those are really things that you would just see in crawl spaces, right? Not necessarily a basement.
No, there's basements too. We have insulation. Any house that I believe it's from the 90s on, pretty much has fiberglass insulation up against the foundation that goes around all exterior walls for the foundation.
Oh,
It's
that's
that
right.
white. It looks like a blanket kind of almost that they put it because it's white. It's shrouded in white, but up behind there is an insulation. It's either yellow or pink.
Yeah, so because I was thinking of insulation in the attics being horizontal, but in the basement, it's that insulation between the foundation wall and the drywall if it's finished.
Yeah. Or in general, we just have it up in preparation that possibly they're going to finish that basement, so we'll already give them the insulation. Sometimes, a lot of times that's what happens. But in the 90s, we were big with 90s and 2000s homes. We were big with putting the insulation along the walls, anchored into it with big white discs.
Yeah, I've got a listing in Commerce City right now. When you go down into the basement, it's got that insulation all the way around.
Yep, and we didn't have those on 40s, 50s homes.
But
just didn't do that
vapor
kind of stuff.
barriers, that's a crawl space thing. Right?
Yeah, so you have vapor barriers that actually go to the wood part of the house, but where it's connected between the sill plate and the home itself. Technical, sorry. So maybe how do I draw?
Well, wait, let's back up for a
Yeah,
minute. So tell it, like, what is a vapor barrier?
So the vapor barrier that you're talking about is put on crawl space floors. That way, because even in the driest of climates, there's still some kind of moisture in that dirt. And the vapor barrier is designed to keep that moisture to the dirt, so you can still set things like cardboard boxes and totes and things that you want to store in a crawl space from being able to get destroyed by some kind of moisture.
So is really the only point of a vapor barrier in your crawl space so that you can use it for storage?
It's not the only point, but it's one of the biggest ones that John Q. Normal homeowner uses. For us, of course, it's to keep any moisture into the ground itself and not let it come up and start creating more mold issues.
Okay.
Yeah, because it'll dry out and then obviously it just rises, so it's going to create mold issues if it's not locked into place.
And you kind of know if you have a vapor barrier or not in your crawl space because you would see it. If your crawl space, if you're seeing dirt, then you don't have one. And if you're seeing something other than dirt, that's probably your vapor barrier.
Yeah, as long as it's not carpet or rug or, tar paper, which I've seen 1,000 times. Cardboard boxes people use. They'll flatten out cardboard boxes and they'll put it down in crawl spaces too. So, yeah.
It's all kinds of, it's also do all kinds of
all
stuff.
kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah. So what are So we were talking about some water stuff. What if there had been a flood previously or some sort of, water in the basement? What are you looking for? Like, how can you tell that there had been a water problem?
Stains, unfortunately, is the only way that we can really tell, especially if it's all concrete.
Those are just dark spots.
Yeah, they're just darker spots. They're out of the ordinary. They look like a stain, typically kind of a rust stain, a little reddish, brownish, as well, And of course, if you have a lot of water areas that are traveling towards the drain itself, like the drain in the middle of the room, staining around that kind of stuff is what we're kind of looking for. And of course, hot water heaters or water heaters, it could be leaking as well.
Mm-hmm.
But stains, it all boils down to it's staining. If it doesn't stain and it was cleaned up in 12 minutes, I can't see that. I can't predict that. I don't know.
Well, and also if it was able to be cleaned up that quickly and easily, it probably isn't much of a problem.
Well,
not an ongoing problem.
Right. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Or they just did really good at cleaning it up. Some people just are really OCD about just time to get it done. Let's get it done now.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the issue of basements, I was thinking about egress windows and window wells because, those the egress windows, if you don't have egress windows in your basement, just to kind of describe what they are, they're off from the inside. They are off the floor. The bottom of it can't be higher than
44 inches, I think it is.
The point is that the bottom of the window has to be low enough that people can crawl out the window, right? So
Yep.
when you see those basement windows that are, up here and they're about this big, a person is not going to be able to fit through that. So it's not an escape route.
Right.
Which is why it's something that we talk about with bedrooms, like whether the bedroom is conforming or non-conforming. If it's non-conforming, it could have several issues. Maybe it doesn't have a closet. Maybe it doesn't have 2 points of egress and ingress, which is the door that you go in and then that egress window or a window to get out. Also, if it's not private, it can't be a bedroom. So if it's a room that you have to walk through to get to another room, then it's not technically a bedroom, right? So people will, if you don't already have egress windows in your basement, I want to say it's like a $5 to $7 grand thing to bring somebody out to dig in and take the existing window out, put the new one in, so that you can make it an official bedroom because that increases the value in the house, having additional bedrooms.
Huge.
Um,
And that window well needs, if it's attached to a bedroom, that window well needs a ladder. If a kid's is in there and the egress for them is way up here, how are they going to get out? They need a little ladder. Where we're tall enough, we could probably just lift ourselves out. But a kid is going to want to crawl up something.
Well, and speaking of not just kids, but also critters, this brings us back around to the window well thing, which is kind of more of an exterior thing than it is a basement thing. But
Right.
yeah,
Same.
but
Yeah.
yeah, we want, tell us about the window well, because it's not a requirement. It's more of like a
No.
best practice.
Yeah, exactly. You have virtually a big hole next to your foundation. I mean, there's really no better way to put it. Sometimes they're 6 feet deep, sometimes they're 4 feet deep, but sometimes they're really, really deep. And for like a kid, that 2 feet or 3 feet, 4 feet is like a mile to them. So it's going to suck for them more than it's going to suck for us. So we really want a window well cover on it that's going to support human weight. So Uncle Sam that's not paying attention when he's at that drunken barbecue kind of a thing, and he walks on it, we don't want anything to happen to him. Same with any kid that gets on that too. We don't want them to fall down into it. So we want something that could actually support approximately 250, if not a little bit more, depending on, whatever. But 250 pounds would be great.
You just don't want yourself falling.
I don't want to fall in, guys. Yeah. I don't pay attention either. Sometimes I back up and I'm like, gosh,
Yep. So, all right, we've talked about window wells. We talked about moisture. A lot of times HVAC and mechanicals is down in the basement, but we have a whole separate episode about HVAC for you. The other thing that comes to my mind when we talk about basements is radon, because in almost every inspection that we do for my buyers, if there's a basement or a crawl space, we're usually recommending that they test for radon.
Yeah,
Um,
especially in Colorado.
yeah, so tell us a little bit, like, what is radon and why don't we like it?
So radon gas comes up from the ground. The reason why we don't like it is because it's the second leading cause of lung cancer, right next to smoking, or right behind smoking, we'll say. So with our radon levels in the United States, our action level of putting in a mitigation system is essentially what the action level means, is a 4.0. Anything higher than 4.0 should have a radon mitigation unit system installed. Anything below 4.0,
The EPA considers safe.
yeah, the EPA will consider as safe. Yeah, but anything above 4.0, it could, over time, over a long period of time, could cause you some lung cancer. So if you have that kid that's sitting down there, or maybe that's where their bedroom is, we don't want them breathing that bad air. We want to get rid of that bad air.
Right. And the radon mitigation system is really easy to put in. Last time I had to do one on a deal, it was still like $800 to $1,200, but I haven't had to do one in a while, so I'm not sure about the pricing. But it's
Yeah, I was going to say 700.
small.
Yeah, 750 to about $1,500. I've never seen it higher than 1,500. I've never really seen it lower than 750. So I say that's a good bracket for a radon mitigation system.
Right. And so when we do that test, it's like it's a machine that you set up in the basement to measure how much radon is in the air,
The picocuries, yeah.
the picocuries, and then you let it sit there for 48 hours, right? And then we leave a note for the seller to keep all the windows and doors closed.
Yep.
Hopefully they're doing that.
The radon monitor will know if they're not doing it, because it measures pressure changes.
Oh,
So if the pressure is gone for too long, it puts up a flag on our radon monitors that something has happened.
I didn't
And
realize.
if it's multiple, if it's just one, okay, fine. But if it's like 6, 7, 8, 12, we'll probably have to retest because it was not an accurate number.
Right. So once you get the test results back, we're typically looking for those test results to come in at under 4. What are they? Polycules?
Picocuries.
Picocuries.
Yeah, I know. Sounds like something from Star Trek, huh?
Pico.
Picocuries.
Yeah.
We're going to beam out our picocuries.
But as usual, one of the great things about Hans is that he helps us decide, is this a big deal? Is this not a big deal? And even though the EPA claims that the level of the radon needs to be at 4 or less, we know that there are other countries like in Europe and other places around the world where they've determined that that number could be up to 20 and still be considered safe.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because it seems like usually it's the opposite. Like the US would have less of a standard than some of the rest of the world. Like when I think about our food ingredients,
Right? They're the high fructose corn syrup and everything out of the din. Yeah.
like the rest of the world.
How much do you guys actually care about us?
So it's interesting to me that in terms of radon, that the U.S. government is
Our action level's super low, yes.
super low. So if you get radon test results back and you're under 4, you're good. Now, if you're between 4 and 20, then that becomes one of those things that's sort of like up to the buyer to decide, how big of a deal is this.
I hate those radon tests that come back at 3.9 or 4.0 or 4.1. It's like,
4.1.
if I would have gotten one more reading, would it have gone down? Would it have gone back up? Wow, that's a crappy little bracket to be in. Your radon's 4.0. Great.
So, okay, Hans, fact or fiction? A little moisture in the basement is no big.
If it's actual moisture, it's a big deal. But if it's like the efflorescence that's caused by moisture, then at that point, we're still not at the big deal phase. But if your foundation or if your window well is letting all the rainwater in because it's raining outside, yeah, that's a big deal.
So it sounds like if you can see signs of moisture, it's something to be checked out.
Immediately, moisture will destroy a house much faster than anything else out there. Moisture.
Most things.
Termites, it'll beat termites. Water will destroy. It's crazy.
Water
destroys faster than termites, yes.
So interesting. Water is very interesting to me.
Yes.
It's also a creator. It's the creator and the destroyer.
And you.
All right. Well, we've been talking all things basement with my go-to inspector, Hans Coleman. If you need something checked out at your house, or if you're getting ready to buy and you need a home inspection, highly recommend calling Hans Coleman. 5281, a step above home inspections. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Always my pleasure. Can't wait.
If you like this content and want to support the channel, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go.